That music always gets me a little excited. I'm like over here dancing while. So, welcome to our Winners Wednesday. You can see behind me here, I'm not in my normal location, but super excited to have Miss JB Hawkins. You probably recognize her from some of the other Winners Wednesday episodes. Good morning.
Good morning, Micah.
So JB's all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma. She's absolutely phenomenal. She's an amazing agent, team leader, friend. So really excited just to kind of have an informal chat today about a topic that's really become important and one that I constantly get from a lot of real estate agents, especially this year. So today we're going to talk about how to avoid stress and burnout. I don't know about you, JB, but as an entrepreneur, we make it look easy on social media, but the reality is it's a 24/7 job. As a matter of fact, one of my husband's friends was kind of hanging out with us the last couple of days, and he was like, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you handle the stress. So I really would like to kind of break it down into, for you, JB, I know that you're running your family life, you're running your team, you're running your revenue share organization, you're running your investment side of the business. How do you have enough time in the day? So let's talk about prioritizing and kind of creating that time management, if you will.
Sure. Well, thank you, Micah, for that sweet introduction. I think that you and I have talked about this before, and I think it's just about being extremely intentional and finding what those big blocks of your day are. So in each, facet, we're not the only ones out there that are running multiple companies or multiple things that we have to take care of each day. But I think you've got to figure out what your income producing activities are in those different buckets. And you've got to be very intentional about your day, and not just, you've got to wake up and know where you're going that day. And so that's what I've really worked on for probably the past 5 to 6 years, is just being intentional when I wake up.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point because we all know it's easy to stay busy, especially in real estate. This lender, this title company, they want to go for lunch, they want to go for coffee, and then you look at the end of the day and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I did today. So let's talk about you just talked about the IPAs, your income producing activities. How do you identify what those are?
So I look at, I'll take my real estate business, for example. I I look at, okay, what's going to bring the biggest amount of revenue? You could add in the shortest amount of time. What can I do today to move the needle in that portion of my business? So for me, it's been this way since 2015. That is calling expireds. So that is, I eat the frog in the mornings. That's the first thing that I do. I'm waking up. Well, I go to the gym, take care of my personal, get my mind right. And then when I'm hitting the office, I'm spending 1 to 2 hours a day in this market, maybe 2 to 3 hours a day, calling expireds. I know that's the one thing I can do every day to move that portion of my business forward.
I like that you mentioned that of moving the needle forward because we always talk about accomplishing, being able to look at back on the day and say, I accomplished something in my business. Some days it's going to be smaller than others. And we're going to talk about leverage and how you can kind of leverage certain things. But, focusing on the things when you look at your day, what can I delegate in terms of leverage? And what do I physically have to be present in? So that really leads me to my next topic is setting boundaries. Not only setting boundaries of what can I leverage, what are my income producing activities, but also setting boundaries for yourself, your health, your family that we talked about. How do you kind of identify where needs to go and, what needs to go in which bucket for the day?
Well, so I go back to my goals. I think it's very important if you don't have your goals and where you want to move in each bucket of your life. There's things that I absolutely want to accomplish with my family. There's things I want to accomplish with my real estate team, and there's things I want to accomplish in my investments. So I think this is where, as far as boundaries go, I think this is where, like, this was probably the hardest for me as an entrepreneur because my heart is I want to be everywhere. I want to go to the brokers opens. I want to go to every real estate things, that we have. There's so many every week, and I want to support my friends. But in this particular season right now, I do have to set boundaries because we're in a growing season of our team. I've got a lot of different investment things going on. Like, I need to sit down and focus. And so I start with my goals. I figure out, okay, this is what I need to do this day or this week.
JB, I don't know if you can hear me, but it looks like your screen froze a little bit. There we go. You're back.
Oh, am I back? I left. What happened?
You just froze.
Okay, good. So I hope you guys got all that. But yeah, I just have to be really, it does take sacrifice. It does take setting boundaries and, to move things forward. And I'm definitely in that season right now.
Well, you really talked about your personal goals, which I think is really important because we're so inclined to just create professional goals. I want to make $100,000 a year. I want to make $200,000 a year, whatever it is. But we don't set personal goals. And then more importantly, make sure the personal and professional goals are in alignment. Right.
Right.
So I would encourage anybody watching this, if you haven't done so already, take a minute, write down, where do I want to see myself 12 months from now on a personal level, and where do I want to see myself 12 months from now on a professional level, and then how can I combine the two and make sure that they're in alignment so they don't clash, which really leads me into the next topic about taking care of yourself. And a lot of the topic today is avoiding stress and burnout, and a lot of that comes from within and taking care of yourself. And I'll be the first one to admit here publicly is I've always been on the grind, go go go, and therefore a period of a long time, I didn't put myself first. And I've really tried to change that over the last year. Because the reality is wealth and everything doesn't matter, the cliche saying, without your health. And that's true. So I think taking care of yourself in terms of exercising, in terms of meditation, in terms of just really taking time to reflect is going to help avoid stress. And I think JB, you're one of the best at it as well. So how do you, on such a busy schedule, how do you say, I'm going to carve out this amount of time every single day for myself, uninterrupted, not negotiable?
So about 2 years ago, I really took control of this. My saying, and I cannot remember who said this, but it's really stuck with me, is you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I've got a huge responsibility to my children, to be a good example, to be around for them, to lead them in a good direction and be a good mom. I have a responsibility to my team who trust me to be able to lead them. I have a lot of responsibility. So I have to make sure that I can show up in the best version of myself. So again, there. Did I freeze again? Micah froze.
You did.
Are you there?
Yeah. No, you're back. You're back.
So, I get up, I go to bed at 8:30, but I also get up at 5:30, and that is a non-negotiable. My friends make fun of me because they're like, oh my gosh. I had a friend the other day ask me to go to dinner at 9:00 at night. Who does that? Like, I cannot do that. So I get up at 5:30. The first thing I do is I get my coffee and read my Bible. That's very important to me. That really guides the majority of my life, if not all of it. And then I get to the gym and I'm working out, 30, 45 minutes, cardio with weight training. And, those two things right there really set my intentions for the day. And before this 2 years ago, I was living off of Red Bull and coffee and fast food and go, go, go. And eventually I felt horrible. I gained a ton of weight. I had anxiety through the roof. So I'm very conscious of the food that I'm putting in my body. I look at food completely different. I look at to be nutritious and feed my body and not, just go eat I really love Mexican food, but I can have it in moderation now.
Well,
So
you still got to live your life, right? But like you said, as if
yeah,
you're 90% of the time, if you're watching what goes in your body, then you can splurge every once in a while, right?
yes, yes. But I will tell you, 2 years fast forward, the brain fog is gone. My anxiety is at bay, which, if you've known me, you know that I've struggled with anxiety, but it's rarely that I have, those side effects or symptoms. I feel healthy. My body feels strong. I feel more healthy now at 44 than I was at, 38 or so, because I'm taking care of my body, but it's a choice.
It is a choice, and a lot of it comes back to kind of education. For me now, like I've got this. This is my breakfast every single day. Protein shake. Don't
Yeah.
as a kid go out and eat cereal, and that's one of the worst things that you can do, right? And then I like that you mentioned that being an example for your kids, because that's one of the things that when I really took a step back and started focusing on my health, and I still have a journey to go, but it was like, am I teaching my kids the right way? Because I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have that role model to say, okay, you need to watch what you have first thing in the morning, because that really, like you said, from sugar levels and brain fog and all that, that really determines the rest of your day. Are you having protein in the morning? Or are you having something that's, sugary, that's just going to let you spike and then crash? So I think, just like you, just being an example for my kids, kind of educating them. They still have their French fries and chicken nuggets or whatever that they want, but they're being educated along the way. So I think for me, I've been incredibly excited, because even my oldest is like going to the gym every day for 2 or 3 hours, and I'm like, okay, if he creates that habit now, that's going to be a habit that's created for a lifetime. And I know he's reading, is it David Goggins' book, and he had to write out a list of all the excuses that you have, and then basically throw them away. So I think that really translate into your business and just life in general. So I think that should become a non-negotiable. I also like that you mentioned a little bit ago about eating the frog and really doing those undesired tasks first thing in the morning. It's one of the things that I learned long ago from Tony Robbins is, if you don't like cold calling, for example, then you need to cold call first thing in the morning, because what happens if you don't mentally, it's going to drag you all throughout the day, because you're like, oh, I got all this done, but I still need to cold call, right? Whereas if you flip that on its head and you eat the frog first thing in the morning, so like 8 o'clock, I'm going to cold call, or whatever task it is that you don't like to do, then what happens is you're done by 9 or 10 o'clock, and you're like, I just conquered the rest of the day. Now the rest of the day is fun, right?
And people underestimate the power in that, because, listen, I know that I teach a lot of classes, and my team is probably sick and tired of telling me or talking about cold calling, but it is not something that I love. It's hard. But I mean, who wants to wake up first thing with a cup of coffee and just get rejected? Like, that's what it is. But I cannot tell you, I know that by 10 o'clock, if I've set and here's the reality of it. When you get really good at learning to convert in real estate, and you combine that with consistency and discipline and cold calling, it's very hard to fail. So if at 9 o'clock I'm sitting at this desk right here, and I've set a listing appointment, or I've set two, which is often the case, I doesn't matter what I do the rest of the day, I have accomplished something that's going to be huge for my business. And over time, when I so right now I'm not as much in production as I have in the past. When I used to do this faithfully every day, I was going on 8 to 9 listing appointments a week. That's the magnitude of it. So you just feel so accomplished by 10 o'clock. And for me, that actually gave me more energy. Like, you go out of that like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. Okay, what else can I, like, it feeds your energy to make the rest of your day more productive. So I would really try that, to anybody listening to this.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, usually I look at my laundry list of things, and I'm like, okay, what do I not want to do? And then let's hammer it out, right? And then, like you said, you feel so accomplished. So it's just rewarding. Which if you don't do it, going back to avoiding stress, it's going to make you stressful the entire day. So,
opposite effect. You're at noon, you're at 2 o'clock, you're at 1 o'clock, and you don't feel accomplished. So it goes in the opposite direction. That's what I found for me personally.
one of the things that I've always recommended is, just simply getting a piece of paper. Like, okay, I get lost. I always have these things I want to do, but I don't get them done. Just get a simple piece of paper, draw a vertical line, start in the morning, write down the things that you want to get done for the day. Then at the end of the day, write down the things that you got done and then try to find out where you got lost along the way, right? So I said I was going to do this. Why didn't I get this done? Oh, it's because I had a 2 hour conversation with this person. I got distracted. So that's why I didn't get this done. Right. Just kind of visually putting it to pen and paper is incredibly powerful. I know you were talking about your morning coffee every day, which, Hamudi and I, this because you've been to our house multiple times. We have our morning coffee every single day. No sugar, by the way, just straight, Turkish coffee. And that's our goal setting. For us, we actually just had our morning coffee with our new general manager at our restaurant. We were like, hey, if you're going to be working with us, you're going to get used to drinking coffee with us in the morning, because we do our goal setting. And so we don't goal set once a quarter, once a year, anything like that. It's literally every single day. Hey, yesterday you said you were going to get these done. Did you get these things done? Not only is it a constant reminder, but there's, some form of accountability with that as well. So if you can find somebody in your life, whether it's spouse, friend, whatever, partner, really to hold yourself accountable, because the way that I look at it, accountability partners are great, but nobody's going to care about you and your family and your goals more than yourself or your spouse or your partner or somebody that's in your family, right? So I think, that to me just really mentally sets the day of, okay, I'm doing this today. He's doing this today. And I know there's accountability tomorrow to make sure that we got those things done.
I love that.
Now,
I think
yeah,
that
and you've been a part of those conversations, right?
yeah. Do it.
So let's talk about delegation and leverage, because in reality, and this, JB, we all have the same 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah, everybody's heard me say this a million times because that's true. The reason others can get more done is because they manage their time better, number one, and they delegate and leverage. So let's just talk about your single real estate agent. They're overwhelmed. They've got a lot going on. How do you determine what task I should start leveraging and delegating out to other team members?
So this is how I was taught. You focus on the things of a real estate agent. So you're focusing on lead generation, listing appointments, writing contracts, showings. In my opinion, if it's outside of that, that needs to be leveraged somewhere. Our team has a TC. A lot of agents will not get a transaction coordinator until they feel like they're at this level. In my opinion, you should have a transaction coordinator right off the bat, because in those hours that you're working to do the back end paperwork, you could spend those exact same hours working on your real estate business, whether it's marketing or lead gen or showing or those 4 buckets that I just talked about. So I feel as an agent, if you're doing anything other than those 4 things, that should be leveraged somehow.
And sometimes it doesn't have to be a full-time staff member. I mean, there's so many virtual assistants or using third-party programs like Fiverr and other things like that to do like task specific. Or like you said, if you're a single real estate agent, then go find you a transaction coordinator and you're just paying them per transaction just to take that off your plate.
Yes. And I think that saves a lot of time. I think that, for a single agent that's just getting started out, maybe take a time block. I know marketing is very important. You've got to market listings. You've got to market yourself as a realtor, but try to batch that. If you're not to the point where you can hire a marketing person, try to batch your marketing, maybe create for 4 hours on a Sunday evening, 3 hours on a Sunday evening, your content for the rest of the week. So the majority of your time is spent in lead gen and doing those income producing activities.
Absolutely. And that really leads me into kind of the last, bullet point here is continuously learning, right? The more that you can learn from other people and surround yourself from other people, and what you're wanting to do, then the more that, you're going to be able to implement some of these things in your business. So I know, years and years ago, I was talking to a top real estate agent here locally, and excuse me, let me get this met. So I was talking to a top real estate agent, and she said, the difference between me and you is you take time to think and reevaluate. And I'm just always go, 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 go and being reactive. So, I know you're really good at this. Is something that's really near and dear to my heart is always learning, always continuing to grow, putting myself in rooms with people that are where I want to go. What suggestions would you have for agents in terms of learning the right things to implement to avoid the stress and burnout?
I think you just have to be in alignment with people. I'll tell you, with the brokerage that we're with, which is EXP, there is a ton of opportunity for trainings. They're online every single day. We have several conferences a year. There's always some kind of training coming across my email. And so I think, whether it's find what you really want to focus on and then go find the people that you can learn that from. I think that's very important. I'm 17 years in the business and I am still very dedicated to learning every day. I'll never be the agent that's like, oh, I'm 17 years in the business, I know it all. I don't know it all. I'll never know it all. This market is constantly changing and evolving, and you have to have a new set of skills, and you've got to really have that mindset to be successful, in my opinion, in real estate. So alignment and knowing what you want, which goes back to your goals. I probably annoy my team because none of this makes sense if you don't know where you're going. And I know, Micah, you're a big believer in that. You revisit your goals daily. I revisit my goals weekly. So you've got to know where you're going and why you're going there and why you want to do this. So I think it's just really alignment. It's what I would sum that up to.
So, kind of piggybacking off of that, how I'm just trying to think of the person, maybe they're not at a collaborative environment or, have access to the top producers and top talent that we may have access to. How do they find those people and put themselves in the right room and have that alignment?
Well, I think in every market, you can kind of see who leaders are. There's always classes in a local market. Now, on a bigger scale, a long time ago, well, not a long time ago, maybe like 8 to 10 years ago, I was really finding a lot of content on YouTube. There are tons of agents who teach training that is relevant to what's going on in the market. I would just get with a good mentor. That is so important, that you have a mentor and you have someone to guide you in that aspect of real estate, because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You simply need to go find someone and learn what they're doing to be successful. That will make things a lot easier.
No, I think that's great advice. I mean, YouTube's great advice. I'm the same way. If I want to learn something, then I'm going on YouTube and watching a quick video. There's so much great content that there's really no excuse not to be able. A mentor doesn't have to be somebody that's physically there holding your hands. And as a matter of fact, a mentor doesn't even have to be somebody that's alive. It's if they're gone, they've most likely, and they've been successful, they've most likely put content out there. I know that sounds weird, but that's, a mentor doesn't even have to physically be present with you. So I think that's incredibly important and useful. So I think that's a lot of great advice. I know that a lot of agents are really stressed. The last piece of advice that I think for me personally that I would have is control the controllable. And I know that we've heard this over and over again, but you can't control the interest rates. You can't go control what's going on in the environment. You can't control what's going on overseas. So just say, okay, what can I control for myself and my business to survive? And everything else will play out. And as JB said, one of the most important things in that is knowing where you want to go, have that roadmap to success. It's funny how when you plan it, it comes in and the universe almost provides. Hamudi and I were talking about this morning. We literally sat in St. Thomas 2 months ago in August on my birthday and talked about opening a franchise restaurant. And here, not even 60 days, 90 days later, we're 2 weeks away from opening our first location. If you asked me this 90 days ago, but what happened is we put it out into the universe, we talked about it, and then we took action. And that's some of the most important things. I think a lot of people, they talk about the things that they want to do, but then they don't take those actionable steps. Going back to put yourself around the right people that are there to help mentor you, that have the experience. A lot of people want to help. Most people, I would say, want to help. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yes. They do.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a lot of great, great information here. JB, anything that we didn't cover? Anything that you want to add to that?
I think we covered a lot. I will just tell you guys, get a good morning routine, get very, very intentional on where you want to go in life, and figure out your income producing activities in real estate. I will tell you, Legion, Legion, Legion. I know it's not fun, but it is one of the quickest ways you can move your business forward. So just get intentional and set your goals and clear off the table. Just make room for the things that you want and get very serious about it.
Well, I like that you said Legion and it's not fun, because I'm sure with Michael Jordan sitting there and doing his thousands of shots every day was not fun.
Very
But what you
mundane.
saw was the end product. Do what?
It's very mundane. It's mundane. It's, you're like, huh, but it results. You have to have discipline to sit there and do it every day. Those two things, my opinion, you're unstoppable.
100%. Should always just think about Michael Jordan. You see the end product. What you don't see is everything that he did previous to that. So think about that with yourself, with other real estate agents in your market. Yes, you're seeing the end product of how successful they've become, but what did they put in the work? And more importantly, as JB just said, the boring and mundane task in order to get there. And I think if you do that consistently, and Alex just put on here to stay focused, that will help you avoid the stress and burnout. So thank you guys so much. Don't forget that we do a Winners Wednesday session where we're interviewing top producers and agents and teams all over the country every single week. Join us also for the second Wednesday of every single month, where we have JB and also typically Ruben. If you have any topic ideas or anything that you want us to talk about, please feel free to send it to one of us. JB, I know you're busy, so thank you as always for sharing all your insight.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Micah.
Have a good day.